So if you wanted to see how filmmaking has changed over the years, ideally what you'd want is for two movies made decades apart to have the exact same scene. You'd want the first movie from, say, 1940, and the second almost 60 years later in 1998. Well, as luck would have it, that's exactly what we have right here. On the left, Ernst Lubitsch's classic romantic comedy, The Shop Around the Corner, starring Jimmy Stewart and Margaret Sullivan. And on the right, Nora Ephron's 1998 remake, You've Got Mail, starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. Actually, both of these movies were based on the 1937 Hungarian play Parfumery, which was also made into a movie musical starring Judy Garland in 1949 and a Broadway musical in 1963. The reason for this many adaptations is because the plot is perfect for romantic comedy. Two people become anonymous pen pals and gradually fall in love, but unbeknownst to them, they actually know each other in real life and don't get along at all. They basically despise each other. On the day the pen pals finally agree to meet at a cafe, the man who gets there second sees through the window that his beloved is actually his real-life antagonist, and because of this doesn't reveal his true identity. This imbalance of knowledge makes for a marvelous scene of dramatic irony, creating a tension that is at once heart-wrenching and hilarious.
Are you deliberately trying to spoil my evening? Why do you want to do me harm? Why do you hate me so?
I don't hate you.
Oh, I suppose you love me.
Well, why should I? What have you done to make me love you?
Well, I don't want you to love me.
I don't.
All the film adaptations of the play have this scene, the cafe scene, and they all play out in pretty much the same way. How the versions differ is in the film language used to stage the scene. That language tells you something about the director's vision, but it also tells you something about the conventions of different eras of movie making. Leaving aside the musical, let's compare the 1940 and 1998 versions. And they are comparable, as they cover the same beats and are roughly the same length. The Shop Around the Corner's cafe scene is 8 minutes and 19 seconds long, and You've Got Mail's cafe scene is 9 minutes and 43 seconds. The first and most important thing to notice, the thing that other differences spring from, is the number of shots used to cover this scene. In 1940, Lubitsch filmed the cafe scene in just 19 shots. In comparison, Nora Ephron, 58 years later, used 133 shots for the same material. That is, of course, a massive difference. The average shot length in the earlier version is a whopping 26.2 seconds, while in You've Got Mail, the average shot length is just 4.4 seconds. So where do these 114 extra shots come from in You've Got Mail? Well, let's look at the setup of this scene, when the man and his friend arrive at the cafe and look through the window for the pen pal. In Shop Around the Corner, Lubitsch lets it play in one unbroken medium two-shot. Ephron, on the other hand, opts for shot reverse shot, cutting back and forth from the man to his friend. It's the same throughout the entire scene. Lubitsch prefers long two shots, while Ephron goes for shot reverse. Now, one of these techniques is not necessarily better or worse than the other. Both have their advantages. Shot reverse shot, for example, gives a director greater control of pacing in the editing phase, and it lets you use different takes and different framings, like close-ups, to fine-tune the emotional arc of the scene. Long two shots, on the other hand, tie the editor's hands, but they convey a palpable sense of time and space, especially the space between the actors. Every action and reaction in a two-shot is real. Lubitsch and Ephron, of course, had personal reasons for their shot selections, but those choices also reflect the times. Films of the 20s and 30s and 40s have much longer shots on average than films of the 90s or 2000s. Now, there are a lot of reasons for this, but it's partly due to the influence of other media on cinema. Early filmmaking techniques were influenced by the conventions of stage plays, where many filmmakers began their careers. Audiences were used to being their own editors, choosing where to look in the frame and when. Films of the 80s and 90s were influenced influenced by music videos and commercials, which increased viewer tolerance for more rapid editing. It's tempting to say this change reflects a shortening of attention spans, but human attention, like cinema, is structured by the wider world. The sheer amount of information people were expected to consume and digest increased enormously from 1940 to 1998. So information was condensed into shorter, faster units.
Hurry, hurry, hurry! Ugh!
And this seeps into everything, including our movies and their language. This is obviously not to say there are no long takes in modern movies, but I think it is true that long takes, especially static long takes, stand out to us in a way that they didn't in 1940. They feel like an aesthetic choice rather than the invisible norm. They challenge us. They challenge that anxious feeling way down deep in us, which grows the longer and longer they go on, that we're not getting enough information for our time. Which is a shame. I mean, this is not a video disparaging Nora Ephron, who I think is a really good filmmaker and a great writer, but I do believe that the Lubitsch version of the cafe scene augments the material more. A two-shot like this, for example, visualizes the imbalance of knowledge that Jimmy Stewart knows more than Margaret Sullivan, and long static takes make even the smallest camera movements incredibly impactful. With only 19 shots, every one counts. Lubitsch does use shot reverse shot, but only when it will sink deepest and do the most damage.
You know, people seldom go to the trouble of scratching the surface of things to find the inner truth.
Well, I really wouldn't care to scratch your surface, Mr. Crowley, because I know exactly what I'd find. Instead of a heart, a handbag. Instead of a soul, a suitcase. And instead of an intellect, a cigarette lighter. Which doesn't work.
By the time we get to this same moment in You've Got Mail, we've already been in shot reverse shot for a while, and the lines don't nearly hit as hard.
You discover a lot of things if you really knew me.
If I really knew you, I know what I would find. Instead of a brain, a cash register. Instead of a heart, a bottom line.
You know, in my opinion, movies haven't gotten better or worse over time. They've just changed, mirroring the ways that we've become more sophisticated and visually literate, busier, savvier, in some ways more jaded, in many ways more thoughtful. But there are unique things about the early decades of cinema that can't really be replicated today, things that were sad to lose. The good news is that these movies still exist, and the holiday season is a great excuse to watch one. So if you're looking for something special to watch with the family this year, let this video be my recommendation. 1940's The Shop Around the Corner by Ernst Lubitsch, a movie that's of its time in its construction, but timeless in its appeal. Enjoy. Hey everybody, happy holidays, and thank you so much for watching. I just noticed that as of a few days before Christmas 2023, the hardcover of my book of essays is on sale for just $14.24. If you haven't read the book yet and are looking for something fun and easy to read over the holiday, that's a really good deal. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I thought I'd let you know, and I'll leave the link in the description below. This episode was brought to you by Squarespace. If you don't know, Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. Their templates are flexible, their blogging tools are easy to use, and Squarespace provides you with all the analytics you need to iterate and grow your business. Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch that site, go to squarespace.com/nerdwriter for 10% off your first purchase. Thanks again, guys. Happy holidays, and I'll see you next time.